Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Red for Anfield Index. It is Saturday, the 16th of August, the day after, and I'm not going to lie, people, I am absolutely spent. I'm not sure really how much I've got to give you today, but we are going for it nonetheless. I was at that game at Anfield. Season openers are almost not supposed to be like that, are they really? Season openers are supposed to be calm, controlled, working out things, not like, that was literally like an end of April game, the business end of the season, the running, the extremes. We had every emotion at Anfield. That's all I can describe it. It was an emotional night. I was emotional at points. There was grown men emotional in the COP 305 where I was as well. There is a million and one things to unpack from this. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from glorious Edinburgh, but I can well see me having an afternoon nap. Although, will I? Because we kicked it off in spectacular style, but the football season's back. That's what matters. The football is back. And you forget, for all the excitement around transfers and other things, how much you missed that game, being in that stadium, watching it under the lights, the magic of Anfield. And anyone wants to doubt or mock anything about Anfield, rival fans got their taste last night, didn't they? But let's get into it. Let's talk all things last night, all things that have come up recently, all things that we think will be on the horizon as well. And as it comes on the screen, just absolutely marvel at that beauty. In fact, to be honest, if you want to just call it there, because probably could finish Liverpool first and Arsenal second again. But just look at that. The Reds are top of the league. Played one, won one, goals 4-2, goals against 2, goal difference a positive 2, and points a massively positive 3. And for all we're talking about last night and how good the table looks and the bits, emotions were the key thing. I was in that crowd, and the chanting for Diogo, as I said, the emotions, everyone knew his family were in the stadium, and that cop in the stadium were extreme. You could see grown men genuinely moved in that stadium. You felt it all the way through the game. At the 20th minute, and Arne Slot talked about it as well. And rather than me tell you what he said, let's have a listen.
No, if you have half an hour. But the main emotion, I think, should be how impressive and powerful the tribute for Diogo was. So the banner that the cops showed, the way You Never Walk Alone was sung, the way they sung, is the word for Diogo before the game, in the first minute, after 20 minutes, in the end of the game. It was all so impressive and so powerful. And that's, I think, what my main emotion is after the game. And then
just gets it right every time, Arne Slot, doesn't it? Yeah, emotion. You saw him on the pitch, and he actually talked about it afterwards, I think, to say he didn't want to come in. Actually, there you go. This is quote, "I didn't want to go in after the game because it was so special how our fans kept on singing for Diogo," and we did. Every time you think you cannot expect more from Liverpool fans, they top it and overperform. It was special to hear how much he is loved. You can see the play, like Arne Slot was emotional. You probably saw Mo Salah as well, didn't you, at the end? You could see he's emotional. Players are not robots. You never know fully how it hits people. I think a lot of us, maybe even me a little bit, realised last night, just, especially someone like Mo, who you think is so driven, the impact this has had across the board, understandably. So, yeah, it was an emotional night. And it's right to talk about certain players and individuals. And I think with the sweeping changes, and it says there on the banner, the individuals and the collective, last season was about things not changing too much, wasn't it? Nothing, it was about keeping things the same, seeing where we are, using that, building a tight-knit squad, patterns of play, and it was like Novocaine, wasn't it? Fast and effective consistently, rinse, repeat. Now, this season, it is intriguing. And I think you've seen it a bit in pre-season. We might just be relying on individual brilliance. While everyone works out the style, why things are tweaked, adjusted, why we need to just maybe change formation, change personnel, etc. at times, in games as well, as ever in that, patterns of play aren't maybe quite there. So you're going to rely on individual brilliance. Of course you are. We're going to need that, you fancy, in the first few weeks of the seasons. And we got it in spades from different people last night, didn't we? And the man on the screen, look at his handsome puss there. Honestly, to be in the cop when that went in, genuinely, I shit you not, the cop was actually shaking. Literally shaking, you could feel it. Everywhere was about the actual concrete, the building beneath it was shaking. The raucous atmosphere, the passion, the let-off. You're not supposed to have that on the opening day, but it was there. And I loved that despite the fact he only played a few minutes, we sang for him before, maybe because he's our remaining banger tune there as well, whatever. But he got his flowers, didn't he, Federico Chiesa? And Arne Slot talked about him as well. Let's have a listen to what he said.
How do you feel the dramatic end with Federico Chiesa? His best man for
Yeah. After the fans sung for him so many times during the game already and last season as well. I think it's very nice for him to give them something in return. And that's definitely what he did today. Unbelievable atmosphere in the final minutes. I thought that, of course, winning the league here will always be more special than winning a home game against Bournemouth. But the last 6 or 7 minutes, wow. How impressive that was.
It was just insane, as he said. Opening games are not supposed to be like that. And he is right. It was great for Fede to get that, give his minute, shall we say, get the reaction, etc. Everyone just felt happy. It was just special in the ground, wasn't it? And it's interesting because you start to think a little bit about it now, don't you? You start to think, well, Salah, Gakpo, Ekitike, that bench was incredibly thin. There was Chiesa, Harvey Elliott, you would class it, and Gamoa as an attacking option, but you thought it's thin. This is not a couple on the bench to really change it that we're used to. But Federico Chiesa had different ideas, and Arne Slot's asked there about, was asked last night about his future, and said, when we needed him, he delivered. And that is always positive for your future at the club. Now, this is intriguing. This is not a guarantee of a full 360 of the expectation that Federico Chiesa goes to an Italian team. Of course it's not. I don't think this is any guarantee at all. But Federico Chiesa himself actually said this, didn't he, as well? I'm very happy at Liverpool. I will speak to the club, but I want to stay here and fight to win many trophies. Well, that's pretty direct. However, there is a little bit of a caveat, a little bit of an escape there, isn't there? That I will speak to the club. And maybe just a little bit like Kostas Tsimikas. Do you remember Tsimikas did those comments earlier in the summer when he said, Liverpool is the Broadway of football. I'd rather play like 15, 20 games here than 40 everywhere else. But he's not in the matchday squads now, is he? And you probably expect him to leave. And whilst Chiesa is getting minutes, which I love the idea, as some people say, keeping him around for the super sub option. I love that idea. But and I don't even like pouring cold water on this. In World Cup year, when it's been clear, when Gattuso's spoken about it, what we know his aims will be, is Federico Chiesa happy being almost the Harvey Elliott from Klopp's last season? Do you remember when he was always the break glass in case of emergency from there? I don't know. And Hellier, I get it's made a point there. Ben Doak, and we'll talk about, it's practically sold. I think we can't end up in a situation where our options are caught short because of few players, especially in our attacking formation. Totally get that argument. We needed him last night, didn't we? There is absolutely zero doubt we needed Federico Chiesa last night. But is that going to be enough for regular minutes? Is that going to be enough for him in the long run? It is just the real burning question. There's not many, well, there's just over 2 weeks now to find out, isn't there? I'm not so sure still. What I loved as well, and they all say and do the right things in a genuine, authentic manner, Liverpool players, Arne Slot. They're just saying it all right. That Chiesa put there after he was interviewed after his goal to say, that was a very great moment for me, but my thoughts go to Diogo. It was emotional, very emotional for me. I have to say that after the goal, my thoughts went to his family, his brother Andre. That's the only thing I could say. And yeah, for many of them as well. Mention this man on post-conference presser after not the best of performances, shall we say, in the Community Shield. The amount of people writing off. And as I said, don't be coming for the king because you'll miss. And he didn't last night. Did you see that fourth goal on his wrong foot as well? Where he's kind of an endo hoof clearance, you'd call it that. Brings it down, touching that cut inside onto his wrong foot and bang into the keeper's bottom left corner. Brilliant. Ends any doubt, ends any fears, last minute of the game. It's Mo Salah scoring for the 9th consecutive first day of the season for Liverpool. And has more records there. Look at that. Mo Salah up to 4th in the Premier League all-time goal scorers. 187. Joint 4th with Andy Cole, so he's going to go 4th individually. And I thought he had a good game overall. Even if he hadn't scored, I think there was a few people were looking at, but I thought he had a decent game. I think what was telling about Mo Salah, and I kind of mentioned this, alluded to it before, you could tell how emotional he was before the end of the game. I don't know if anyone spotted it, but there was a little bit of jostling, jibing, which Mo Salah always gets in the opposition penalty area. I think it was with Adam Smith, the Bournemouth captain, and Mo reacted. He did snap almost a little bit, and you could see there was a few of our players, because we could see it directly, in the cop. We're a bit like, almost, this is a bit unexpected. Mo doesn't react. That's the nature of him. And then you see the tears afterwards as well, don't you? I think as much as they all need our support, Mo especially, they all need it. But, let's never underestimate just how big an impact this has had on them. And maybe we're starting to clock, how it's still affecting Mo that way. But the king just reminds everyone else who is the king. Simple as that. Although, where's this one I wanted to show? Not that one. This is the boy, Hugo Ekitike. What a Premier League debut. He scores a great one, doesn't he, in the Community Shield? And this one owed to a bit of fortune, a kind of rebound type of thing, I think you'd say, a bit. But the composure just to almost give the keeper the eyes wait and slide it into the bottom corner. So he got this goal, which is great for him. Got the assist, didn't he, for Gakpo, which was a nice goal for the team as well. But I think importantly, he ran his heart out for the team. He was the official man of the match as well. You liked everything you're seeing. As it says on the screen here, 4 out of 5 aerial duels won. He put himself about, didn't he? 2 chances created, 9 kilometres covered. A worthy man of the match. Now, the last time we had a striker up top who had bleached blonde hair, okay, we won't mention the going to Chelsea bit and all that, but that worked out really well, didn't it? So honestly, and people, I put this tongue in cheek on Twitter to say, well, just remind me why we're buying 130 million striker to go up top and moving Ekitike out the way. And people didn't get it. Talked about depth. Yes, of course, we need numbers, etc. But Hugo Ekitike does look like a star is born a little bit, doesn't he? Literally does look to have real potential. And I liked, and actually, John Meister's just put it on, in the comments there, took it out of my mouth. In his interview afterwards, said he wasn't happy with his performance and he wants to keep improving. Talked as well how he likes to drop deep and link all the play. This is a special kid. This really is, for me, from what we've seen, has been almost the star recently of all the new signings. That doesn't mean they've all been bad, but yeah, just special that way. It is right to talk about the new boys in this as well. Milos Kirk he's obviously been told, it's been quite clear from the Community Shield and this one, to almost be inverted a left back. And I've got to jump on this comment because people are putting this like, Tony, you just said we need more than one striker in the squad. I just said, for God's sake, we need depth. You're missing the point again. Of course, we need more players in. We've said that clearly, but it's making sure Ekitike gets his minutes. Yeah, let's just think about this, people. The new boys, Kirkes. Enthusiastic is right to say, but enthusiasm on a tightrope could become rash, couldn't it, if it strays over? And I just thought he almost wanted too much to do well, I thought, in this, Premier League debut for him. I'm a fan of what he did at Bournemouth, but if you think of what he did at Bournemouth, it was about that road runner getting crosses into the box, up and down. And we're not asking them to do that naturally. Now, the big mitigation for Kirkes last night for me is he was up against an absolute beast in Semenyo. And I want to talk about Semenyo because I think it said before, he's a fabulous player. And we'll talk about what happened last night as well. But that is always going to be a tough ask because of the physical gifts that Antoine Semenyo possesses. So we knew he wasn't always going to win his physical, aerial duels that way. But just a bit rash at times, I think, the way he went about it. Did he make the right decision? Maybe just wanted it a bit too much. Frimpong, I thought he was okay. I thought people are going a bit too overboard on that one. Again, it's a first game, so you can't overanalyze. Maybe didn't like he did in the Community Shield. He kind of stood the opposition fullback up a few times, and I thought he's just going to knock it and burn him. But he didn't in this one. I don't know if you call it like first night nerves, possibly. Reserved, although Arne Slot and touch wood, this was a bit of a negative for this one. We hope it's nothing major, but Arne Slot did say afterwards, Frimpong felt his hamstring. So I'm hoping, nothing there. Touch wood. Subs as well. That was one of the points I wanted to talk about with this game. How important were Arne Slot subs last season? The second half adjustment, the second half subs. Won us so many games, didn't he? Tactical genius, practically, for many times we saw. Didn't quite work, did it, to plan? I mean, I understand why he bought off Kirkes on a yellow after that rash. They were starting to attack and he thought Robbo's not got a yellow. So that comes into the mix. And Frimpong feels his hamstring. And he brings on Endo at right back. And God love Endo. Right back is not his position. You could see it. They immediately targeted him, didn't they? They were going at him. And to his credit, Arne Slot kind of realised, hold on, I might have got this wrong, and quickly changed it out, didn't he? And all of a sudden, Joe Gomez was at right back. And we weren't perfect by any means. We still looked porous. And I think a rumour has it that Ibu Konate has actually run that far backwards. He's going across the old Goodison Park as we speak, for the second goal as well. But, yeah, it just looked so much better, didn't it, with Gomez at right back. I think Robbo did okay. I'm not going to pick too much on him for the first goal of theirs, but players who maybe know the system, shall we say, will help. And I don't want to spend too long on Florian Wirtz, because I think, again, there's too much extremes. It's a bit like the Gattuso one, isn't it, for Wirtz last night? Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's needs to get to the physical nature of the Premier League. I don't think there's any doubt about that at all. But played some nice little cute triangles round the corner. I suppose for me a little bit is we're working out how to get the best of Florian Wirtz in this system just now. I don't think we're doing that. Okay? So not terrible, not great. Things to work with, but needs to be given a bit of time, doesn't he, to get up to the pace, the nature, the physicality of the Premier League. So a really mixed night for the new boys, but they're all got a win under their belt, eh? Yeah. And as LAPS there says, yeah, it's the first game for Wirtz. You can't overanalyze. You can't be too critical. Needs that time to adapt. What you can be critical of, oh my God. Even ref support tweeted backseat Barry. I mean, shout out to Barry there. That's an essay. I mean, they looked at it. Michael Oliver, the Newcastle fan, who might just be a bit annoyed with us over the Isak thing, I'm just saying. I mean, it was quite clear. There's the first, I can maybe get the first handball, but there's a clear second swipe to stop Hugo Ekitike. The reaction was clear for all our players. We kind of saw it from the cop. We thought it was, but obviously we don't get replays in the stadium. But then when you saw the replay, how can you not give that? It's so blatant and it's so obvious. And I know people are going to say we shouldn't talk about referees. And I know when I speak to David Lynch about this on Monday, we can't go too hard on referees. It is one for one of horrendous decisions that were easily identifiable. And yeah, people say in the chat, maybe flicked his, but he makes the deliberate movement, whether it's like a fingertip from a goalie almost, wasn't it? He knew what he was doing. He knew when Hugo Ekitike was going to go. I honestly, absolutely flabbergast me. And if you want a reference, when Ref Support UK are tweeting that tells you everything about how bad that decision was. Honestly, not a clue. And despite that, it was easily not the worst thing that happened at Anfield last night. I mean, just honestly, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with the world at times, but everyone's seen the footage. Everyone knows that it's just shocking and disgusting to say Antoine Semenyo was racially abused at Anfield last night. It was one person, one individual, and quite right, Liverpool released a statement saying we condemn racism and discrimination in all its forms. Adam Smith, the Bournemouth captain, came out and said, Liverpool had supported him, all that. But I keep seeing a few things on this, and honestly, it's proper grinding my gears, some of it. Because we have the take the knee, we have the give racism the red card, we have different campaigns. And I keep seeing a few people saying two things. Number one, throw the book at him. Number two, make sure he never steps foot in Anfield again. Throw the book at him is not just a stadium ban. If you did that in the street, you'd be charged, and it would go from there. Why is it any different in Anfield? Why? Stop just saying, throw the book at him, give him a stadium ban. Because if it's just a stadium ban, what message is that sending out? If you are going to properly throw the book at him, should be the police investigation charged and go from there. Okay? It is absolutely ridiculous. And I genuinely never thought we'd be talking about it in this day and age, but you shouldn't, face away from it. And by the way, there's been a few other tweets about it and different things. And, in simple terms, racism is unacceptable. Full stop. We know what needs to happen to that person. We'll see what develops from there. But anyway, other bits as well, because let's try and step back into a bit of a positive. I don't know if you call this a positive, actually, as I move to transfer talk, but it broke yesterday lunchtime, didn't it? Ben Doak, the here we go 25 million to Bournemouth. As was tweeted and mentioned by many, Porto were in the mix as well, but they were informed the deal is in place with Bournemouth. This is great fee, 25 million. That is not being disrespectful to Ben Doak at all, but I generally think this is a bit of genius business from Richard Hughes. 600 grand, I think it was, from Celtic, if I'm right. Someone could correct me on that in the chat panel. 600 grand to 25 million. And for a guy, I'm thinking, again, someone correct me if this, minutes in the Premier League. I think he came on against Chelsea one time, but minimal minutes. I think that's brilliant business. And didn't play last night, taken out the squad. Yeah, another one. And I think people are starting to see what this might lead to at the same time as well, because there's been talk, haven't there? I think we saw it last night. I know we all know who we think the attacker's going to be, the striker, but we need another one. And I've got to call out this comment by Waleed saying there, racism and Ben not sides, which it's cool. I don't know what's trying to be said by that. It was a despicable racist act, full stop. Needs to be prosecuted. I'm not going to say any more on that because there's some nonsense coming up in the chat panel, people. Honestly, there is. Let's focus it back to transfer talk. And the Isak thing as well. I don't know. Again, it's another attacker link for Newcastle, isn't it, at the same time? Goncalo Ramos back on the agenda. Another one. Another day goes by with Newcastle being linked with another forward. So we get kind of like, yes, when they get Visser and another, and maybe at Visser and Ramsey is enough. And we're thinking, okay. And after Newcastle's game against Aston Villa, but does anyone genuinely have any faith that Newcastle will get Goncalo Ramos? And again, I'm sure we're going to get Geordie's coming into my chat now, as we normally do. But yeah, although time is ticking on this, isn't it? There's only 2 weeks of the transfer window left. I still think Alexander Isak, as many of us do, will arrive at Anfield. But will he be alone in the attacking aspect? I think we saw the lack of depth from the bench. There's another one we'd like at the same time, isn't there? Yeah? We'll have to see. It does feel like an exciting period coming up. I could well be wrong on that. What was exciting as well yesterday, as well as the Ben Doak fee being agreed, announced, young Giovani Leoni signed in, didn't he? He was at Anfield. He was posing for pictures, posing for photos, having a great time last night. And he must have almost watched this game compared to the pace of Serie A and gone, what the hell is this? But it's exciting. And I think what was telling, I'm sure you've seen the interviews or the videos, that Slot's already commented like, wow, he's big. Look at the size of this boy. Before the game, he was stood next to Alisson on the pitch with Slot. And we know how big a unit Alisson is. He was a good inch or so taller than Alisson. And Slot was even saying, Alisson's even like, yeah. And this boy's 18. So he's still going to do, obviously, filling out and development that way. It's early days, but from all the reports we're hearing in different bits, Liverpool genuinely think they've got a coup. And just a couple of lines from what Leoni said as well. I'm very happy to be here. It's a really great sensation, and I'm honoured to be here. Yeah, there's a lot of excitement. I'm so honoured. I was very happy about Liverpool being interested. When I saw this, I said, wow, this is crazy. I'm very happy. And it also came out, didn't it, from Paul Joyce and other reporters that, tellingly, rejecting Newcastle, rejected the different Italian clubs as well. Liverpool was the one he wanted. I'm excited with this. I really am. You can't put too much pressure on him. You know, and I've seen a few comments going, this kid looks like the future Van Dijk. I mean, let's not put that type of pressure on him just now. he's still feeling this way. And I think if everything goes to plan, this is a development season in the Premier League, isn't it, for him? You know? But the potential does sound absolutely immense. Speaking of centre-halves as well, this was tweeted from Ben Jacobs yesterday. Liverpool are in active talks to renew Ibu Konate's contract. There's nothing agreed yet, but Liverpool are still trying for an extension. The dialogue continues with Konate's representatives. It's not dragging on the 3 last season at all by any means, is it, just yet? But we love to get that one done. In fact, we all want the renewal. But here's an honest question for you. Which one would you take out of the two? Now, I know you want both as I ask this question. I get that. But which one of these would you take out the two? An Ibu renewal or Gay joining? Which one would you say you would take if it was just one? Now, I, of course, obviously want both like you do as well. But if it was just one of the two, I actually think I'd class Ibu's renewal as more important than that. Now Leoni's in. I'd like Gay, of course, with like a fifth centre-half and cover. We all do. But if you just had to pick one, I do think I'd lean towards that. He did seem happy last night, although he'll be disappointed with he got sat down by Semenyo, didn't he, for the goal that way. But he was enjoying times with his good mate Hugo, international teammate now, possibly. Yeah. Interesting. Fingers crossed. I mean, if we can now get an Ibu renewal and Gay through the door, you're looking at centre-back area and going, set. Brilliant, considering the concerns or questions marks I had at the start of the summer. That looks magnificent. Let's see if we do. What content have we got for you? Well, there's 1,000,001 things coming up. If you still want to inject the content into your eyeballs from yesterday and you did miss it at all, we had the watch along with Jack. We had the match reaction afterwards with Gags and Jack, fresh. And of course, the Raw boys were together, weren't they? It was Trev, Dave and Carl dissecting everything. So that is available for download at the same time as well. Even within the last 48 hours or so, a smorgasbord of stuff for you. Me and Bart's looking at both Gay and Leoni and what they bring. There was a daily red there, Grizz and the Red Room chatting about the importance and the firepower needed. Jan Molby giving his season prediction at the same time, as well as me and Jamesy on Red Alert. And our guessers, and it is guessing because you never know, to the big questions that are there at this moment in time. I mean, other things we're hoping. I've heard suggestions, I'm sure you have, or many of you have, that, yeah, Liverpool are looking at another winger, another Premier League-based winger. It would be nice to get another through the door, especially with Ben Doak departing, wouldn't it? So we'll keep an eye out for that. Of course, Isak is going to be spoken about, isn't he? Because of the game today. It's exciting. The good thing is now that we've just won that game, you can watch the games this weekend with, I'd say pressure off because it's the first game. But if Arsenal and City drop points, it's a bit of a bonus. But more importantly, the Premier League is back, isn't it? Normal football is resumed. However, when I say normal football is resumed, just to be crystal clear, Liverpool, Arne Slot and players, my heart cannot take 9 months of that. That is costing too much of my soul to be watching that week in, week out. So if we could have a few more like last season where there was just the controlled states playing in the garbage time, 2-3-0 routine victories, that would be nice. And before Newcastle this week, before next week, isn't it? Sorry, before the Isak derby, he'll be focused on that, won't he? Tightening it up. And also we await a bit of news on right backs, because one positive I didn't really touch upon, Joe Gomez coming back, that's great. He may actually be the only fit right back we've got at the moment, because Frimpong, we're awaiting. Hopefully it's just a bit of tightness and nothing more. Connor Bradley seems to have just, the forgotten man, wasn't really mentioned at all, was he, last night? Yeah, we will have to see. Yamabu saying, I get see us getting Isak, Gay, and Fofana. Even suggestions, it's a Premier League winger that we're being looked at. I'm sure many of you have seen that as well, so we'll have to see. If it was those three to finish the window, I would be very happy. Could tell you that straight. I think that would be absolutely brilliant. But as Messi Aquatic says there, the one thing that Liverpool aren't in any walk of life is straightforward. Yeah. People saying sign Semenyo as well. I would love Semenyo. Double last season, all the physical gifts in the world, but don't see it. Yeah. A lot we're waiting for this week, people. Who knows what will develop? Who knows what will come up? But if you look at that thing of beauty right now, Liverpool, top of the league. And that feels like a good place to finish, doesn't it? So on Saturday, the 16th of August, that was another Daily Red for Anfield Index.